Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's February 4th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and we had I'd call this an easy trading day. The volatility was not nearly what we have seen. This is more of a normal volume volatility day. We had a real steep channel here early. It was like a little spike in channel, and you probably can find a steeper channel here early on too, but I played this like a spike in channel, and it's really too steep, so it flattened out here, and we even had a couple of closes outside, but this thing just kept going higher and higher until we finally got up here and found some resistance. Believe it or not, we're back at 3,300, so no surprise that we found some resistance right there at that level. Those are generally those century marks on the 3,100, 3,200, 33, and 34. They usually are a little bit um, emotional type areas where you'll find some people get emotional and the market will get a little crazy, but usually you find support or resistance depending on which way you're trading into those. More often you're going to find resistance trading into them, and prices will usually swing back and forth on both sides a few times before they move on through or turn and go lower again or whatever. So, but this is a clear two-tiered channel working up through here. Very easy to find. It's mostly just all buys. There's a couple of sales up here late in the afternoon. Um, you need to be really careful selling this thing because you can see that everything just kept moving further higher. But once you got in this sideways, you could play this range up here. And there's a couple of shorts here that you could probably argue for them to be green. I don't know. We'll talk about them when we get there. There's some pretty good setups and there's some reasons. One of them's a trap. They're really both kind of traps. This is a failed breakout, and this one was lower high on a failed second entry long or something. So we'll talk about them when we get there. But fairly straightforward day. The only thing that might have thrown some of you off is we did get these breaks, but the market kept going. And as long as it's still going, you just want to continue to trade upwards. So we did have this little, what looked like we did have the break and new high here, what looked like it was going to turn. But when this trend line continues to hold, you want to still play this trend line here. So, but anyway, we'll back out and talk about the trades, and we'll go from there. But let's back out a little bit where we can see this. Let's use the fast moving screen here for just a minute. But you can see we were working up here, and this is a really strong move here. It's a little bit steep, so it's not uncommon at all for a move like this to flatten out some and continue going and continue the trend higher. A good normal healthy trend is usually about a 45-degree angle. This is actually a little flatter than 45 degrees, but this is still a nice trend, and pretty much we overshot the trend line a couple of times here. We even overshot the trend channel line here before prices finally made a new high and then reversed. So, but we took a lot of that back. Well, we shouldn't say a lot of it. We took a little bit of that move down back. We've taken a good bit of it back now, but this is where we actually closed right in here. So we took about half of that back, but pretty good up day. Let's talk about the trades. But 7 o'clock came right in here, and this is a great example of why you don't try to pick tops, because this looks like a great setup. Notice the break, move to a new high, the shorter term trend line here as well. There's a break and new high, and if you go short right there, you probably get burned, and it bounces higher. I mark this as a possibility. This is a second entry long. Notice the new high, pullback first entry, pullback second entry, and it's a double test of that support. And usually you'll get two legs up after a break, and a lot of times you'll get two legs to a new high. So it didn't surprise me at all that we went higher here. This is a little bit congestive, and this is not a very good signal bar either. But it is a double test. It is a second entry. It's just a rather neutral bar, and there's a little bit of congestion there as well. So, but you may take that trade and just make sure you got enough room to get out right there, since this is a possible turning spot, because you could go one tick higher and turn. Um, but that's a great example of why you don't want to try to pick tops anyway. So, but we moved up and we actually made a lower high right here, a double top really, a little bit away from the EMA, but that's too bullish. There's a lower high here again too bullish, and you're right back to that support. It pushes through there. You're not necessarily looking for a long here, but when you make this first entry short and then push through and make a failed second entry short, you got to go long there again. And you would have had this trend line and this support and this, notice you could have drawn that trend line early and you would have drug this up here, and it's fitting really nicely. So you'd have this midline and all in place, and you can see that clear bounce off that midline. Turns out all you get out is a scalp out of it, and then we run another leg down, which you're expecting to maybe get two legs here, but again, you're not really looking for a long there, but when it gives you the opportunity, you take it, and it's a quick, easy scalp, just simply because it's probably going to trap shorts, people picking tops and things. And then you get another little failed second entry short here right at the trend line, and so again, I like that one. It's almost a repeat pattern here. Of course, we're below the EMA here, but the reason I like this one is because we're down here at the key entry point. And this trend line does hold. Again, I wouldn't take any shorts into this trend line. But notice how we fell down here. Again, with this being a trend channel working down and us pushing through that trend line, I wouldn't look for any longs down here yet. But when we get back in and that trend line holds right there and gives you a higher low above that EMA, I like going long there. This one is real close. You could argue for this to be green simply because you do have this trend line, but notice we had a break there too, and you got a new low. And this really, I mean, this confirms this line, but it doesn't fit perfectly. And this is the more dominant pattern, so I like that. We're probably going to shoot to at least a new high, and this thing takes off again, and the trend lines, this short-term trend line is in play all the way up. There's actually a reversal pattern right here, and that's a fairly bullish bar, but we're just a little bit away from the EMA. That's another one you could probably argue to be green. Just simply, we probably couldn't get back to the EMA because it's bouncing off this trend line, which is now acting as support. It was resistance, now it's acting as support, and off it goes. And then we're just working sideways here. There's a double test right here with the trend, but now you're into some resistance right here. You do get a little failure here, but again, you're going to want to wait on a lower high, and by the time you get that, it's an obvious trading range here. And when this thing fails right here, and gives you this nice bullish bar, I like going long right there. You got plenty of room to get out back to here, and notice how it turns down right there. But you don't really get a short set up here. There is a little breakout pullback right there that you might consider, but you really got to go short. You could wait for that to close, but then you don't have much room. There's probably enough room to get out, but I just think that's a little risky going short right there when this thing just keeps climbing. And then once again, you get another reversal pattern right here. This is actually just a higher low, but you can see prices try to go lower a few times there, and they breaks lower and turns, goes out the other side. I'd go long right there. And you might even let it break higher and maybe drop a limit order in there, although you can see this thing took off pretty quickly. They trapped a lot of people right here, and you can tell that by how this shot up, closed on its high. The next one opened, it took off, so you may not even been able to get in that trade. Just depends on how your chart set up. That's why I like going long above that bar. When it broke above that bar, I'd have my buy stop in there. And then there's a little double test right here, but that's just too congestive, too far away from the EMA. And we're working down. It's tempting to go short right there, but there you can see once again, you get burned if you try to go short right there. So this is a strong trend at this point. So just stay with the trend until you get something, something with a little more proof that we're definitely turning down. I like going long right there. Get that little failed break lower, nice little bullish bar. It's looking like a little congestive area here. You just want to make sure you got enough room to get out before you get back to this high. Really, that high is the most important one, but you want to be concerned about that one. And you get a higher low right here, but you're right into that resistance, and it's obvious there's resistance there now, so you want to just wait. Takes off. We get a little overshoot this time. Again, you're waiting on a good setup. If you'd had a little more bullish bar there, you might have considered going long there. But then you come back and you bounce right off the EMA and you get a nice bullish bar right there. And you can see that we got support across there. And so I'm really looking at that as a double test almost right there. But it's a nice, it was trading way down here and bounces off that EMA and this support line and closes way up here. That takes some buying. So if it breaks higher, we're probably going to push on up. And then now it's pretty obvious we're in a trading range. And so I just start playing this as a trading range. Normally I'd want to wait for this to get to the high. This is one of these shorts I told you about. But notice that high, first entry, second entry, and it fails. And you got a little small bearish bar there, only about 3 ticks in that bar. It's kind of low risk. And that turns out to be a great trade. Look at it go. So that would have been a nice short right there. But that's a trap. And so obviously there's probably a lot of people got long right there. This is really your signal bar. And so you wouldn't want to go long down here on that second entry. But a lot of people see this big bullish bar, but then they don't realize what happens in ranges, and you just don't have enough room right there. And there's not many people, the smart traders aren't biting, and they're taking the shorts here. And off it goes with all the, now everybody that got in long in here has to exit. And people that have probably been holding for a while get spooked and exit, and then next thing you know, we're going the other way. And there's another little reversal pattern right there. Notice that new low. I marked that green just because it's so far away from the EMA, and that actually broke lower and turned and went out the other side. You might play that long. And actually we didn't tick lower right here, but you still tried to go lower, and you come up here and you tick lower, and you're back in this range. So you might consider going long. It's just not a really good signal bar. It's almost neutral, so I didn't mark it. You don't really get a short here. You don't really get a long set up here. You get a higher low here, but it's right back into the highs. And then it breaks up here and fails. And notice that's a new swing low. It's lower than that one. So you got 2 legs up, and you got that breakout. You're going to at least probably come back to the EMA on that second entry. If that wasn't a second entry short, I'd say wait on a lower high. But you don't get a lower high here. And that would have been another nice move late in the afternoon. So that took us into 2 o'clock hour. But it was really pretty straightforward today. And again, you know, you got to know what you got to know how to read this before you take these shorts. So if you're fairly new, forget about any shorts on a day like this. I mean, it was pretty obvious we were in a range by this time. And so you could play the range rules here, and that's basically what I did on those two. This was really just a trap. And most all your trades are going to be longs up through here. And so a little more normal day. Still a little bit of volume here, but nothing like what we've been getting. And you know, it's not the crazy new low, new high, new low, new high that just bounces all over the place. It's as obvious that we got a clear 2-tiered channel working higher, and this is not very hard to find. The only thing that might have thrown people off was we had a few breaks in here and even an overshoot, and we still didn't turn down. But that happens on strong trend days. And the same thing on the downside. You'll just kind of reestablish new trends. And if you look right here, you might have even drawn your new trend line. I don't quite have that right. Like so. It didn't really help you much, but you know, you always look for it might have helped you find this turn down right here a little better, but you didn't really need that today. That's pretty straightforward. So anyway, nice day today. Hope you had a good day as well. I'm not going to beat around the bush today. I'm going to wrap it up and try to get out of here at a decent hour today. So this was really straightforward. Nothing out of the ordinary to talk about here. other than the fact that we had a few closes outside, convincing closes, and even overshooting prices still didn't really reverse. So, but other than that, it was really straightforward. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.